So today we're going to look at my newest, oldest Marvel comic. Sean, I know you're not watching this, but your thing of, hey, why show me a comic? If I'm interested in it, I'll just get it myself. You're not going to get this comic, okay? It's not reprinted. It's too expensive for a non-comic collector to get in any condition. You're not going to get this comic, okay? But I know you're not watching. Angie, you know what? I think maybe you're going to watch, but you're probably hoping I've got some kind of non-comic story to tell. I don't think I have one this time, sorry. Mark, you may watch this. You watch some of my videos at random after the fact. You may even have a comment for me, which I love. I love comments on YouTube. Unfortunately, you never come back to read the responses I give to the comments. I don't know why. To the rest of you, if you're watching, hope you like this. I do apologize for the audio on my last video from 2 days ago about the comics that had just come out. I am not able to crack the code of getting good audio for my videos. I'm sorry, but let's start. So we've got Tales of Suspense, issue 38. This is from November of 1962. This is the last issue of Tales of Suspense before the debut of Iron Man in Tales of Suspense, issue 39. We have a cover here drawn by Jack Kirby. And as we open it up, sorry, I left out another one of my past viewers, my brother Brian. You're not watching this. I know you're not. You used to watch all my videos. I don't know what happened, but you don't watch them anymore. I thought you liked these things. Anyways. So we start with our first story, The Teenager Who Ruled the World. This is written by Stan Lee and drawn by Jack Davis from Mad Magazine. Hey look, an ad for Yubi Waza! So we have a sad genie lamenting that nobody is rubbing on his Aladdin's lamp to bring him forth into the world again. Meanwhile, in the classroom, this young boy is making a fool of himself, talking about how he could solve all the problems of the world if only he had the power to. Right then he finds a magic lamp, rubs it, and gets a genie. What's about to happen? Well, he's going to start to make a series of wishes. What stood out to me interesting in this story is he's not limited to 3. There's no limit to the amount of wishes he can have. They don't even mention that. It's just, I'm your genie, start making wishes. And he does. And every wish he makes has long-term consequences, but they show the long-term consequences as if they take about 5 seconds to show you the results for each one. So he gets to learn his lessons very quickly that all of his wishes backfire on him. And the genie keeps telling him that's what's going to happen. That's what's going to happen. When you're going to get it through your head, he eventually does get it through his head. I do love these illustrations. And he tells the genie, look, I'm sorry, take back everything, cancel all the wishes, and I guess go back into the lamp forever? At this point, I thought he would have freed the genie. I thought that's how these stories go, but he didn't. He's back to sitting in there and kind of sulking again. And the boy apologizes to his teacher for making a fool of himself. The end. Tiki Gods. It's an interesting ad. Okay, now we have our second story. This was an idea or plot that was created by Stan Lee, and then he handed it off to his brother, Larry Lieber, to write the script, and the art is done by Don Heck, who would then continue to stay on because he was the Iron Man artist, which would start next issue. We can't all be human. So we've got this flying saucer approaching the Earth, and now we're at a college campus. This young man is a philosophy major, and all his friends are making fun of him for it, and that's when the UFO arrives. Everyone goes into a panic. I'm having trouble turning the page here. Here we go. And now we get to see, the view from a jet fighter chasing the UFO. God, I bet this was a scene depicted in those 50s sci-fi movies. And I probably watched some, but boy, I love this right here. This is great. Eventually, the flying saucer lands and someone comes out, and who is right there with the crowd? Well, it's the philosophy major student, Henry Matthews. The aliens walk out, and they are kindly-looking old men who say, we're being chased by space pirates, please hide us. And here's the evil-looking space pirates. The philosophy major says, I think there's more to this. and he sneaks on board the UFO and finds something that confirms his suspicions. Now, the next day, the pirates arrive and the army is ready to take them out, but stop. Don't shoot. Here comes Henry Matthews. That was his name, right? Henry Matthews? He says, wait, just give me a second. And he goes up and he talks to the dudes. And the army men say, well, whoa, okay, let's go on up and see why isn't he being killed by the pirates. Turns out they're not pirates. They're just space police. And they're chasing after pirates. The pirates were the kindly old men. And turns out they were just wearing disguises. They're actually ugly as well, because ugly equals evil. And that's what the philosophy major knew. In fact, he saw a photograph and it got him to thinking, and he thought maybe there'll be more of these photographs on the flying saucer. That part of the story doesn't quite gel for me, but it basically tells the story that the pirates were being chased by the space cops, and they were investigating Earth as a place to hide, and said, boy, if we disguise ourselves as these kindly old men, as these photographs depict, then they'll trust us. And everyone did, except for Henry Matthews, philosophy major, the end. And then we got some story that I did not read. Perry wheel. What is this? It's a steering wheel for bikes instead of handlebars? Oh my gosh, if you got that, you must have got a real beating back in 1962. What is this, kissing dolls? This is just these adorable imported three-dimensional dolls rush together to kiss as soon as they are placed near each other. It's got to be magnets. Who would want that? And the continuation of the story that I didn't read. Storyland series. I like the font. I bet it wasn't called font back then. In fact, I know it wasn't. That was a word that came about in my lifetime. I wonder what it was called back then. Oh, geez. Who would buy an accordion? That was a different time. Okay, the third and final story, The Man in the Mirror, written by Michael Jackson. Just kidding. This is also written by Stan Lee, but it's drawn by Steve Ditko. This is a very short one, and it's very reminiscent of The Twilight Zone. You have this man here, Silas Haggle, and he sees a gold-framed mirror in the window. Goes in the store, wants to buy it. They say, sorry, we can't sell it to you as a mistake. He says, I'm taking it anyways, I'm suing you. They're like, you know what, fine, take it. See what happens. Now he goes back to his life of trying to haggle people. All these business people are in his way, so he just wishes they were out of his way. One by one, he finds that as soon as he wishes, they appear inside his mirror. Boom, 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 he's getting rid of everybody. Anyone he runs across that he doesn't like, he wishes them to be in his mirror, they're trapped in there. Like the Phantom Zone. But then the IRS come a-knocking. Turns out he's been cooking his books and the government wants their cash. He thinks, you know what, I'll just wish them into my mirror. No, they'll just send more and more, and eventually I'll have the entire government in my mirror. That's not the way to solve this problem. You know what? I'll make a new wish. I'll wish that no one would ever bother me about anything ever again. And boom, he's the one that gets zapped in the mirror and everyone else is out in the real world. Boom, boom, boom. The end. All right, and a useful ad for learning stuff like working on engines, being a salesman, repairing televisions, and coin collecting. So I know art sells a comic book, and art is just so much fun to look at, and it takes so much effort and time for an artist to make a comic, but I'm very impressed at a man like Stan Lee to come up with so many ideas and stories on a consistent basis for so long. It's just impressive to me. Maybe because I don't have that kind of a skill. I can come up with some stuff. It's mostly hacky and crap, but whatever. Okay, so here we've got a comic that came out from Marvel 1 week after Fantastic Four issue 11. So we're still technically in that first year of the modern Marvel universe. In addition to the Fantastic Four, Ant-Man, the Hulk, Namor the Submariner, who was around in the Golden Age, has returned. Spider-Man and Thor have all been recently introduced, so it's quite a first year. Of course, right after this issue, they would introduce Iron Man. Shortly thereafter, you would get Sergeant Fury Doctor Strange, the X-Men. They would bring back Captain America from the Golden Age, introduce Daredevil, and bring back Kazar from the Golden Age. But it's not the pulp and Marvel Comics, or I'm sorry, Timely Comics version of Kazar. It is a new Kazar. And then you would get Black Panther. That ends all of the creations from Marvel of the 60s. It'll be interesting for me to see if I can actually get an older Marvel comic. Yes, I have several comics from Atlas, which was the predecessor to this company, and several from Timely, which was the predecessor to Atlas, and I even have Red Circle Pulps, which was the predecessor to Timely. So just the timeline of this company, I do go back further. But I mean, once Fantastic Four issue 1 hit and this modern Marvel universe sprang forth, still continuing to this day, it's kind of difficult to get these really old comics in a price range that A, I can afford, and B, am willing to spend. But then I also have older comics from, all the other companies, DC, Lev Gleason and stuff. I have Fawcett publications from the 40s, all the way going back to the 20s. And then when you want to get into like actual hardcover books and stuff, I have them going back into the 1800s. So anything's possible. In fact, I've gotten, every time I think I've broken a record with getting an older comic, I beat it. And that's all just this year. And we're still in this year. I don't know, maybe I should slow down. I say that every time. But what'd you think? Did you like this? If you did, click the like. If you got something to say, leave it in the comments below. I do read and I respond to everything. And if you want to see more, subscribe to my channel. I make videos all the time. And on that, I'll see you next time.